From KMOV, this is News 4 at 10.
So to protect the people and property of Ferguson today, I signed an order declaring a state of emergency and ordering the implementation of a curfew in the curfew in the impacted area of Ferguson.
It is 10 p.m., 2 hours before Governor Nixon's newly announced curfew goes into effect. Live pictures here. We've seen growing numbers of demonstrators peaceful. But what happens when the clock strikes midnight? Captain Ron Johnson of the Missouri Highway Patrol promising there will be no tear gas tonight, no police force to remove the protesters. Instead, he says authorities will simply talk to the crowds and talk them into leaving. So what happens if demonstrators just stay? News 4 crews strategically positioned throughout the Ferguson area and beyond tonight. Captain Johnson promising we will have access to document activity throughout the night. But again, that curfew, midnight till 5 a.m. Our Chris Negus embedded with police and protesters tonight. And Chris, is there a plan in place if some refuse to obey the governor's order?
Well, Sharon, that's a good question. We're here at Northwind Estates Drive in West Florissant. The road is actually closed, and you can see that's not stopping people from getting into this area. There are people standing in the middle of the streets. There are people chanting the same thing they've been chanting all week: no justice, no peace. And you see all of these cars and all of these people that are still making their way through here, honking their horns. Now, they've been very clear about tonight's curfew, saying that goes into effect at midnight. They do not want people on the streets in this area after midnight, between midnight and 5 a.m. The rain is now falling, but people are not leaving. It's only 10 o'clock. I've talked to a lot of people out here. Some of them say they plan to respect that curfew. Others say they're not going anywhere, and it really just depends on the person that you talk to. Let's listen in to some of the people that I spoke to about an hour and a half ago about what their plans are at midnight. This curfew goes into effect tonight at midnight. Do you plan to respect that curfew?
I mean, I have no choice because I ain't trying to be locked up, you know, but yeah, I'm gonna respect it, but I don't condone it.
I mean, of course, you know what I mean, I'm gonna go home because I don't want nothing to escalate further. Situations, you know what I mean, stuff get real bad.
Antonio French here with me. I mean, this curfew tonight at midnight, what are your thoughts on that?
I support it. I think we are in an emergency, in a crisis situation. Having been here last night, I think that you know, there are some guys who are opportunists, and they see this as an opportunity to just cause some trouble. The guys who were causing that trouble last night were not protesters. They were not here all day with us. Some of them just came to start a mess. And I think our community needs a little bit of a rest right now. And I think it's not too much to tell us to go home and come back at 6 a.m. the next day and start over.
And just a few minutes ago, I saw Antonio French out here along with Lewis Reed from the city of St. Louis. Both of them say they're going to be out here with other community organizers telling people to go home at midnight. Now, there's people out here. Are you guys going home at midnight?
Nah.
Why not?
Because we out here, man. We just need justice. That's all we looking for.
So, you know there's a curfew in effect at midnight tonight. Do you know about that?
I'll go to jail.
You're willing to go to jail and stay out here?
I'm willing to go to jail.
And what are other people in this crowd telling you?
They gonna go to jail, too.
All right, thanks for talking to us tonight.
Going to jail.
All right, so we're hearing that from this gentleman here. Thank you for talking to us.
We all going to jail.
Telling us that they're willing to go to jail, that they do not plan to honor this curfew. And as you heard earlier, Captain Ron Johnson saying they're not going to deploy tear gas in this area. So a big question, what's going to happen when the clock strikes midnight? We'll be out here to let you know. Live in Ferguson, Chris Negus.
A lot of emotion inside that church this afternoon.
Claire, I'll tell you what, there was certainly a lot of emotion in this room. In fact, at points, anger was really spilling over. A lot of people talking at the same time, shouting or actually yelling at the governor, yelling at Captain Johnson, yelling at Congressman Lacy Clay, whoever would take the stage. A lot of people demanding justice, asking that the officer be indicted. That was their big concern here. The governor would answer a question, and that would lead to another call for an indictment. Congressman Clay stood up saying, look, you know, that is up to prosecutor Bob McCullough, not up to the governor. It's not up to the highway patrol captain. It wasn't anybody's authority in this room, but that certainly did not calm the anger or the tension that was definitely spilling over inside this house of worship. In fact, at times, the pastor would take the podium asking people to remember they were inside a house of worship, to remain calm, to stay orderly, to ask the questions. Now, there's a lot of reaction, a lot of strong emotion and feelings. Now, sir, you're a Ferguson resident, is that correct?
Well, actually, I'm a Blackjack resident. My wife happens to be, this is her district that we're in right now.
So your wife is a state representative?
Yeah.
All right, tell us who your wife is again.
Representative Rochelle Walton Gray.
All right, so you're here at this news conference. You just heard from the governor that there's going to be a curfew in place here in Ferguson from midnight till 5 a.m. What's your reaction to that?
I think that's going to create more problems. I don't think the state troopers themselves can stop them at 12 o'clock.
You know, what do you think about this news conference? I've been covering news a long time, and I've never seen anything quite like this. What's your reaction to what took place here?
Like I said, I'm just supporting her, really, and I don't think it's going to make a difference. I think this news conference is really a waste of time. I think it was a waste of time, actually.
All right, sir. Now, are you from the Ferguson area, or where are you from? Where are you from?
St. Louis County.
Right.
But I think that this is just a big mockery of what they're trying to do. Now they're implementing a partial thing, a martial law, to say that these people have to be in the house by 12 o'clock. When we know that there's enough police officers that stretch from West Florissant and Jennings Station Road to West Florissant and Halls Ferry, where there's multiple police departments that's down that corridor.
Now, let me ask you this. If you knew if this curfew was going to actually keep the peace tonight, would you support it?
I don't think I will support it, due to the fact because there's a lot of people out here that still want to be heard, and they're stopping them from being heard now. Only thing they have to do is allow citizens to be able to police their own neighborhoods, just like the neighborhood watches and all that, and therefore have the police out there to bag these citizens up that are not looting, and they're on test to get a resolution for the incident that happened.
All right, sir, thank you for talking to us. Ma'am, are you a Ferguson resident? Do you live in this area?
I live close by and I'm familiar with the area. I have family in the area.
So why did you attend this news conference?
Because we're outraged. We're sick and tired of the police brutality. We're sick and tired when some of our young African American men are killed or murdered or slaughtered. Bob McCullough, the prosecutor attorney, takes it and throws it up under a rug. We have a legitimate concerns for our community. Most of those police in that community, they have nothing invested in our communities. How do you ask young people to respect an authority when you have policemen harassing them for day to day just for walking in the middle of a street? You get gunned down for walking in the middle of the street? Or are we in the United States?
So what do you want to see happen out here tonight? Because they are calling for a curfew from midnight till 5 a.m. Do you think that will have an impact in this community? Yes, it will keep the protesters off the streets, but is there a chance that that will restore peace and calm here in Ferguson?
You want me to be honest with you?
Yes, honest.
There will never be any peace until that officer is charged with murder and put in jail, not allowed to leave this state like he has. And did you know that that officer, since they told you he was so exceptional, did you know that officer used to be an officer of Jennings, and Jennings is more racist than Ferguson?
All right, thank you, ma'am, for giving us your opinion today. A lot of opinions here in this room, a lot of people voicing their concerns. We're going to stay here inside the church. We're going to continue to talk to people. The governor's gone out the door here along with the captain. I see Congressman Lacey Clay shaking hands, taking questions from other people up here in the front of this house of worship. We're going to try to catch up with him and get his opinion, but that is the very latest. As you can hear, a lot of tension developing, unfolding, spilling over inside this church. We're going to stay on top of this and continue to bring you live coverage throughout the day.
All right, that is Chris Negus. Now we also want to continue our team coverage this afternoon, as you see with Julian Johnson also inside the church this afternoon in Ferguson. And Julian, while we were talking with Chris and hearing from him, you've had an opportunity to walk around as well and talk to people. What is their reaction to what they heard from Governor Nixon as well as the Missouri State Highway Patrol?
There was a lot of mixed reaction, a lot of anger coming from the crowd. In fact, I have Kenneth here. You say you're a you're a veteran?
6-year veteran.
6-year veteran. What was some of your reaction to the speech?
They evading the question. Why come this officer has not been charged? That's not right. They charge everybody else right off the bat. This officer's even out of state. He's not even here anymore. That's what we keep hearing. Why hasn't he been charged?
What was your reaction to the curfew that's now in place tonight?
That curfew's not going to work. You got people that get off work late at night. They're going to be stopping them because they're trying to get home. They already got my niece and them already boarding in their houses. They can't get out. They haven't been able to get out to go to work.
That is our team coverage there inside St. Mark's Church in Ferguson. It is now 4 o'clock. We started bringing you about an hour and a half ago at 2:30 coverage of that press conference with Governor Jay Nixon and the Missouri State Highway Patrol, learning a number of new things, including, and perhaps most importantly, the fact that there will be a curfew in Ferguson tonight from midnight to 5 a.m. Also interesting to note that the Highway Patrol says it wants transparency, as well as Governor Nixon. So they will have a staging area for the media as overnight to make sure that the transparency is evident to the community members, because they want everybody inside in Ferguson. They do not want anything like we experienced last night. Governor Nixon also saying that peace cannot be restored in one night, that this is a process, that in the meantime, as we work to restore peace, the eyes of the world are on the community of Ferguson as we try to get back to where we were at this point. A lot of calls for justice inside that church as well. Want to let you know that our Chris Stanford will be talking to St. Louis County Prosecutor Bob McCullough, because we are learning that he intends to convene a grand jury within the next few days. So a lot of information we're going to compile here in the next 2 hours, of course, bringing you all the very latest on News 4 at 6 o'clock. Our team coverage will continue of the latest happening out of Ferguson. In the meantime, I'm Claire Kellett, and we will return you to your regularly scheduled programming.